the day. Please don't be late. Call your friends, I'll call my friends. Let's go and be changed. TMP is doing the most. TMP is doing the most. It's the time of the day. Please don't be late. Call your friends, I'll call my friends.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Miracle Perspective, and this is the TMP Legends Show. Today on the Legends Show, we've got somebody who's not here for the first time. He came here once and he was talking about gender-based violence. I met this guy in 2018 when we started our master's year. And just as the journey of life, we start together, we don't finish together. He finished, I'm still in the game. But I wanted to call him in today because there's this question of, should I go to school or should I find something that's going to give me money? People find education useless today because it seems like education is not giving us the promised dream that it sold to us. So is it relevant? What should we do? So today I'm bringing to you Guadalupe. Chief Guada, welcome to the Miracle Perspective, sir.
Thank you, Miracle Shawani. It's a pleasure to be here again after a long time.
After a long time.
Sure.
Please tell the people, what do you want people to know about Guadalupe?
I'm Guadalupe Kabia and I'm a forester by profession. I hold a master's degree in environmental sciences and forestry, but I'm also passionate about gender issues, climate change, business, and just the issues that happen around the globe and also current affairs. So yeah, that's in short, in brief, it's who I am.
Guadalupe, you came all the way from Malawi to
Yes.
study in South Africa. And your background is you were working before you came here.
Mm-hmm.
So you left your job
Yes.
to pursue studies.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that the case? Why did you decide to pursue studies to your master's level? And I know you are planning on doing your PhD next year. What is the motivation for you to pursue academics?
All right. I think my background is a bit complex and dynamic. Where I come from, it's a very rural area in Malawi. Being a rural area, I never found education relevant in my early ages and in my early days of school. This time is when we were just going to school because parents told us to go to school. But to me, it was just also something that it was just part of life, that I have to go to school, not necessarily finding purpose in education. So being in that system, I got entangled into the education system. Here I am pursuing masters after my bachelor's. But now the quick question which I've asked, why did I come for masters? What really motivated me to come for masters is I was falling short of finances. The job that I was working for was not giving me the money that I wanted. So I wanted something much more from what I was getting. And then I decided that, no, okay, if my manager is getting something like this, I would also be there. So the only thing I had to do was also to follow the same path that my manager was. And eventually I'm here doing masters and I've completed.
And I can tell the dynamics of South Africa are very much different from the dynamics of Malawi.
Too much different. Actually, we cannot even say they're the same. They're just so different.
There's no comparison at all.
There's no comparison at all.
My question is, you left Malawi thinking that education was going to be a solution to your money problem.
Yes.
You come to South Africa where people are pulling in a different direction, so to speak. Most of the people around yourself, you hear they're talking about business. I, for one, am that guy who will be talking about business every day.
You talk about lots of things. Green Wow, you talk about Bitcoin. You have even made me to get involved in several things. Anyway.
So you get here and you are consumed by these many ideas that are not in line with the education that you came here to pursue. What is it that kept you rooted into the education system? What is it about the education system? Can you tell us what is the purpose of education?
All right. This is a very broad question, Miracle, to begin with. But first I should maybe define what is education.
Yes.
Because we should not talk of things that maybe they're not clearly defined.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not confuse education and school.
Okay.
Let's not confuse education and school. School, academics, that's a different thing. And education is a different thing. But education is found in the school system. So let's dissect this education. What is education really? So in simple terms, education, what we're doing here is a form of education. Education is just a way of passing of knowledge from a person to a person, generation to generation. And we should also say education is a mode of acquiring skills, knowledge, abilities. It's much more into a thing that we might just simplify it as education. Because I know most people, when they hear of education, they think education is just university, it's just starting grade 1 to PhD. So in this way, allow me to use education as a cultural system. Education is a culture. Education has to be part of life, because education is in different forms and in different ways. That's why other people even call formal and informal education. So in this first aspect of formal and informal education, people differentiate it as an education acquired outside the school system. It's referred to as an informal type of education. But now, to make a point further, I would say, people learn, like, let's say, how art is, music, belief systems, cultural systems, even spiritual. All those are forms of education. If we go even into the academics, the science itself, the arts, the astronomy, geology, all those are part of education, but which we can just call them as part of culture. It's a cultural system, a way of life. So if you take education as a different entity altogether, it's when you start having very diverse views about what education is about. But let's put education as a way of life, culture, whereby education is not just into the academic system.
So the academic system itself, where does it come from?
All right. From the around 12th century to 30th century, it's when this education system became a bit more formal. But previously, let me give you just a brief background on how people used to learn previously. I'll give an example of the famous philosopher. His name is... Who's the famous philosopher?
Aristotle.
No.
Plato.
No. The father of, I should say
I don't know.
Socrates.
Okay,
anyway, Socrates is the father of the famous philosopher that we already know. So the system of learning that was happening during the time of Socrates, in their society, it was a system whereby Socrates would just sit at his house and people would come and learn from whatever he's telling them. Like, let's say today he comes and tells them, today we're going to learn something to do with humanity. He's going to explain all issues, what he thinks humanity is all about. If those things make sense to the learners, those people were taking notes. It was not a school system. It was just a person sitting. As time went by, people looked at it as, okay, it would be proper for us to formalize this thing. You can actually even follow that. I know you're a Christian, are you? Okay, that's the same way why Jesus also used the same way of having disciples and teaching the people. That was also a form of education. But this education was occurring outside the school system. So we have different forms of education, only that they occur in different setups.
To where we are today, where we have institutions of education, higher learning, lower learning, and all the likes. How relevant is education today? This type of education, not education. I understand that you mentioned that education is everywhere and it's very important. It's a cultural system that we have to plug into. But the institutions themselves, how relevant are they in today's economy?
Okay. To begin with, I would say the relevance of education in today's economy. Education is one of the most important things.
The education system.
The education system is one of the most important things that humanity has ever come up with. That the humanity has at the moment, as we're talking about. So let's put the university system, which is the formal education, which we are trying to explain now. Because remember, we have said education occurs in different ways. The university system offers two opportunities to a person. It wants to reveal the true identity of a person. I would say education offers two most important things. It helps an individual to identify their career. It helps an individual to identify their calling. These are the two most profound things that education offers. And these two skills, which the university system, academic system offers, it will help a student to identify two systems, which is their career and their calling. Let me explain just these two things before you ask me any further questions. A career and a calling are two different things. If someone is pursuing their career, it means he's just there much more interested in acquiring more degrees, just as I am. You know, getting a first degree. No, I'm not satisfied. I'll go for honors, masters, and off I go on to PhD. I'm just pushing my career. So career-oriented people, we are much more, we can say, success-oriented. We are chasing success. And the latter, which is education, which can also help a person to identify their calling. You go to school, you learn, for example, let's say you learn arts, music. You might find out that, okay, from the different subjects that you have in class, arts, science, geology, arithmetic, you find that, okay, no, I think my calling is in arts, in singing. You find that through that, education will expose the hidden talents, the gifts that you have in you. Right. So it is through the calling which you touch base the lives of people. And it's through this calling that you can use it as a talent, which is the true purpose why we are created here. We are created here for that thing, to ensure, to touch base other lives, to give value to other people. That's what a person who is pursuing a career would not do. Because that person is just there for riches, to get money and success. But a person who has found calling through education, that's why you might find, even like you have been taught by different lectures. You might find out, okay, this lecture is just there for career, just there for money. Another lecture will be there as a calling. He will teach with passion. He will impart knowledge. And eventually you indeed see that, okay, this one is a calling, because he's even adding value to other people's lives.
And you're pursuing your career, not your calling.
That's a very difficult question. But for the sake of people who are viewing right now, I think my case is a mixed bag. I've already deemed those people pursuing careers, those people money chasers. They're chasing money after making their pockets fat.
Yeah.
I'd say
but it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, because after all, we are in for it. Okay. I think I found a calling in what I'm doing. I really love what I'm doing. So I would not say it's a career. Though I'll go for PhD. I will really apply for PhD, and I'll be studying for my PhD anytime soon. But I think it will be part of my passion and my calling to
So let's say you're still trying to find yourself there within your career and your calling. You're not yet there. And I mean, it happens. Most of us, most people, they die without having discovered their calling. So it's possible that we are also not in our calling and we're just pursuing our career. And that doesn't mean, in my view, I don't think that should be a reason why someone should say the education system is not working for me, just because they're not finding their calling as yet.
Yes.
They need to just go with the process. If you are learning through your career, go through that.
Yes.
A day will come where
I agree. You brought up. Yes, that I already agree, and I have to agree with you. Okay, so on that one, let me put it into this way. Those people who have been claiming that education is not offering them like with the finances that they were looking for, it means they have misunderstood the concept of education. They think education is up there giving them the ready money. That's not the case. The case is, what do you make use out of education? For example, I'm passionate about what I do, environmental sciences. If I'm passionate about it, despite it being my career, I'll find a living out of it. Okay, let me not give an example of myself. Let me give an example of the famous musician of South Africa, Master KG. Let's assume he went to the university and studied arts. Here he comes with a song, Jerusalem, and it hits the world. It becomes the national anthem of the continent. So we would say education is giving a living to someone. So I think the problem, if someone tries to confuse of getting a degree and that degree is not rewarding, and off he blames the education system, that's where the problem starts. But in whole essence, you can indeed find a career in your passion.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. But these two things have
you're deep. So, in short, what is your advice to learners? What is the approach that they should have into approaching this education system? Because, I mean, people have been buying into the idea of you go to school to get a job and make a lot of money and live a happy ever after life. But that dream is not happening right now. So, in terms of the personal mindset of a student, what is your advice?
All right. My advice is this. In the first place, we must understand that education is a system, and every system does have a crisis. It might have a problem. It might have loopholes. I'll give you an example. If in a society you don't have thieves, you do not test the best of your security thing or of your security things. There are also so many sayings about testing systems. I would also say you cannot test the strength of a ship if it's sailing on still water. There must be strong wind to test the strength of a ship.
100%.
So this crisis that people are going through, failure to get jobs through those people who have obtained several degrees, various degrees. For us as scholars, it's an opportunity to see where is the education system failing, because it's a system which is continuously being improved day in, day out. What our friends were learning in 1900, they're not the same things that we're learning now. The challenges that those people were meeting then, they're not the challenges that we're facing now. So the more people are employed, the more entrepreneurs come. If everyone gets jobs out there, we want to have people who are innovative. Let people go through the crisis. Let people go through the hardest times, because the world is never predictable. The world is never certain. It's the uncertainties, the unemployment that will ignite these scholars, these jobless people, a mind of entrepreneurship, a mind of business. They wake up one day and say, okay, I'm jobless today. What do? I start my own channel and I'll start making money out of it.
Yes.
It's big, you are jobless. But let's say if you're in a comfort zone, you wake up in the morning, you know that your bank account is fat. You want to be innovative. So let's applaud the education system to have other people jobless, other people finding life hard. Those people, it's through the tough times that a person becomes innovative. Because you'd agree with me that in comfort times, in comfort zones, you want to be all that productive. But it's the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And just also to add in this issue of crisis, one thing that I should say about the world in general, you know, the world is orderly. When you wake up in the morning, you know that the sun is going to rise and it's going to set. As the year goes, you see that we have predetermined systems. Winter, autumn, summer, and the like. God created the world in the sense that it's already orderly, it's organized, it's an organized system. You know, there are plants, they function this way. It's a system which corresponds to the other. I don't think there's a time where you have ever gone to bed thinking that maybe at the middle of the night, this planet we are in is going to crash with Jupiter. No, you're just there thinking of other problems and the like. It's because of an orderly, organized way how the earth and the planet was created. Now, if a human being is living in a disorganized world, disorderly world, know that you are going against the universe.
Okay.
You must create an order first to follow the universal order, which we are in. The education system, the university system, is very orderly, very organized. That's why even when you're writing your dissertations, whatever, you have to follow your arguments in an orderly way. We are following the order that God created this world into. So let me ask you, if that person who complains that education is not offering them jobs, ask them what they do in the morning. Just ask them how their day looks like. Maybe a day is a bit small. Ask them, how does their week look like? If you also go further and ask them, how does your year or 5 years look like? You find that those people totally are blank, are just as useless as not living. That they are blaming the education system. Let them put their life into order first. They should organize their life. When you have an organized life, it follows the order of the universe. You wake up in the morning, you know what to do. The sun even orders you. This is the time you are waking up. This time the sun sets. It's rotating. Point number 2, everything in the world is moving. That's why even where we are sitting now, this universe, the cosmos, it's rotating at a very high speed. Meaning to say, one rule thing that you have to do when you are born on Earth, you must ensure that you must start moving. Life is not a rehearsal that you practice and start living the life later. You don't rehearse life. Let's assume you repeat a class today. You haven't repeated life. It's 2 adds on, piles on whatever you were doing. Life is not a rehearsal. Every moment you are living, it's your final moment. You must execute it to the best of your moment. You are a judge, you are a referee, you are someone who is in control of your life. So you cannot wake up in a day and start assuming that, okay, education system is not giving you jobs. Start analyzing your life first. Are you just somebody who is just like an ambulance? Waiting for a call. There's a patient here, it goes there. There's a patient in Mamelodi, it goes to Mamelodi. There's a patient in Malawi, it goes to Malawi. You are just a robot. You don't even have an organized life and you expect education to offer you a job.
Guadalupe. So, yeah.
A person shouldn't be just everybody stop by. If I wake up in the morning and I decide to disturb Miracle Chawani, I give a call, you come by. That means your life is just a mess. So if you have a mess there, which is already in you, mind you, education won't fix that mess. It's up to you to fix your mind. And when you fix your mind, then start looking at the system which this education has.
Wow. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Guadalupe Kabia. He is a master's graduate and his graduation ceremony is happening in 9 days' time. On the what?
On the 30th September, exactly 2020.
Oh! This guy inspires me, guys. All the best and congratulations. All the best with your PhD. There you are going alone. I'm not with you.
No.
I know you are going to do well.
It's a pleasure that you are wishing me well for my PhD.
And thank you for joining me today on the Miracle Perspective Legends Show.
It's an honor.
Looking forward to having more conversations as you progress.
Thank you so much, Miracle.
Thank you so much, sir.
It was an honor.
It's finished.
It's finished.
Miracle perspective is in the area. Perspective. It's finished.